So we've all wanted a pet Postosuchus, right? No? Just me. In any case, be prepared for one hell of a long and in-depth video. You may recognise this dude from the BBC documentary series Walking with Dinosaurs. Postosuchus was an apex predator during the late Triassic period. Unlike the Walking with Dinosaurs Postosuchus, which was quadrupedal, we now know that Postosuchus most likely walked on two legs. It stood around 3.9 feet tall, 13 feet long, and weighing up to 600 pounds, making it one of the largest predators of its time. So, would Postosuchus make a good pet if we could bring it back from the dead? In order to find this out, we need to explore three categories: housing, costs, and domesticability. Completely made up word, by the way. So first up, housing. Since Postosuchus is related to modern day crocodilians, one might assume that it would not require much space, as crocodiles do fine in quite small enclosures. Well, this is far from the truth. See, looking at the body plan of Postosuchus, it's not hard to see that it was clearly more active than any crocodile or alligator, and far more agile. Postosuchus is gonna need much more room to roam around. A basic rule of thumb when housing crocodilians is that the enclosure must be 3 times the total length of the body, then multiply that by twice the length of the animal. Using this rule for a full-grown Postosuchus, 13 feet in length, times that by 3, which brings us to 39 feet, then multiply 39 by twice the length of the animal, so 13 times 2 is 26, therefore 26 times 39 is 1014. So for a full-grown Postosuchus, you're gonna need a 1014 square foot enclosure, basically 72 times the length of Postosuchus. For those of you who like an accurate representation of scale, your Postosuchus would have this much room. This, in my opinion, is far too much, even for a Postosuchus. I mean, never mind a crocodile. For a Postosuchus, this is awesome, but thinking practically, how the hell are you ever gonna find it? You might even wonder how it would find food. Well, truth is, feeding it would not be much of an issue in this size of enclosure. Just throw in the food and let Postosuchus do its work. See, not only did it have incredible eyesight, it also may have possessed the Jacobson's organ. Basically a damn good sense of smell. If you're fine with seeing it once a week, then this enclosure would do you fine, but I think this much room would be suitable for both you and the animal. And by the way, I did the calculations, and by rescaling Postosuchus, you've now got a 104 foot enclosure. So for housing, your enclosure size would need to be around 100 square feet. Now, what to put in the enclosure? The area in which Postosuchus lived was very dense and tropical, with ferns and cycads covering the forest floor and huge trees towering above them. The perfect habitat for Postosuchus to stalk its prey. In order for Postosuchus to successfully catch its prey in your potentially massive enclosure, densely planted with ferns, cycads, and palm trees. Personally, I'd throw in a few artificial rock formations just to spice it up a bit. This also gives Postosuchus places to explore and feel stimulated. Also, don't forget your clean pond. You don't want Postosuchus dying on you because of dehydration. There's a good chance Postosuchus was violently territorial, so it's not a good idea to house more than one, unless you're thinking of breeding them, which is for another video. Hit me up in the comments if you want that video. Now, you should know how to set up an enclosure for a Postosuchus, but how much is it going to cost you to keep one? Well, first question that comes to mind is the cost of the actual Postosuchus specimen itself. If scientists were only able to make one, then be prepared to spend a lot. I'm talking billions. And never mind the paperwork. Yeah, what? I know, right? Chances are, no matter how much you plead and persuade, you're not gonna entice the scientific community to even consider handing over their masterpiece. But let's assume they were more readily available. Scientists could just pop one out whenever. This is only a crocodile on steroids. So let's start comparing there. First off, the license. The price of a license is going to heavily vary depending on your location. I couldn't find a US price for a crocodile permit, but in the UK you require a dangerous wild animal license to keep any kind of crocodilian. This can cost anywhere from under £100 to over £1,000. So if Postosuchus falls under this license, then you'll just need to find out your local council's price for a DWA license. But for the purposes of this video, let's make up a price of around $200 for a license. Keep in mind that not all states will allow you to keep a Postosuchus. As for the actual animal, well, Backwater Reptiles sells baby American alligators for $150. By the way, please don't get a pet alligator. Don't get a crocodilian. You need a license anyway, so it's too much work. And they could eat you. So anyway, we've plotted a baby alligator at $150. Let's amp up that price for a Postosuchus. Make it $1,000 for a baby. Yeah, 1,000. Deal with it. If you're wondering why I made it so much more expensive than an alligator, that is because a Postosuchus is so much more than an alligator. So $1,000 for a baby Postosuchus and $200 for a license. But what about the aforementioned enclosure? Well, your garden may already exceed 100 square feet. If so, then well done. Land is free. If you're a farmer who owns a few fields, then well done. Land is free. If you live in an urban area, however, then good luck. See, land prices vary depending on not only the location, but the seller, so I can't help you there. Also, I can't help you with the cost of the actual enclosure. If you want me to make a video on, the specific costs of building an enclosure, again, hit me up in the comments below. Next, probably the most costly cost. Feeding. When it was alive, Postosuchus likely fed on a wide array of animals. Wikipedia names 2 candidates for Postosuchus prey, Trilophosaurus and Typothorax. Giving Postosuchus modern animals such as pigs or goats would likely be fatal. Reason being is that Postosuchus' immune system is 221 million years out of date. Even a simple bacterium could spell complete disaster. Like I said in the last Paleo domestication, let's assume microorganisms are out the equation. Now, let's take a prey item of Postosuchus, Trilophosaurus. These were Komodo dragon-sized herbivorous lizards. Now, comparing them to modern lizards, we really don't have a lot of options actually. You can't really feed it a Komodo dragon because they're kind of almost endangered, but you can, however, feed it large monitor lizards. Be prepared to get heavily ridiculed by PETA and other vegan organizations. They're not food! Yeah, well guess what, PETA? Neither are pigs. Which is your second option, by the way. Reason for pigs is that they have a lot of meat. If you choose to feed your Postosuchus pigs, which might actually be a better option than monitor lizards, then you're going to need to know how often to feed your little postie. Postosuchus' metabolism is a very heavily debated debate. Some are in favour of Postosuchus having a lower metabolism, meaning it could survive on little food for extended periods of time, whereas others are in favour of it having a higher metabolism and needed to feed more often to sustain itself. Crocodilians have an extremely low metabolism. Usually they can go for a few months with no food, but in some cases they can survive for up to 3 years. This is due to their conservation of energy, by lying around and waiting for prey to come to them. And looking at their body plan, that's not hard to believe. With short, stubby, sprawled legs. Kinda easy to lie around and do nothing. The animals with a sprawling posture require their torsos to bend as they walk. As this happens, the twisting of the body compresses one lung and expands the other. This makes it very hard for the animal to breathe while it walks. This is known as carrier's constraint. However, if the animal has an erect posture, the body does not need to twist, as the legs can rotate more freely, thus enabling Postosuchus to breathe as it walks and runs. Therefore, I am in favour of Postosuchus having a higher metabolism. So, 1 pig, say, every other day. Little Pig Farm makes it easy for us, thank God. I quote, "So, the short and sweet answer is, for a good feeder pig, expect to pay from $60 to $100. Okay, so let's call it $80. $80 every 2 days, making your annual cost for pig feeding $14,600. Another way you could feed Postosuchus and not harm pigs is to just feed it meat. Things like many store-bought chickens or just an ready slaughtered pig. The initial costs are probably going to be around $1,200 plus the cost of land if need be, which is not bad. However, $14,600 a year will soon follow. This is not taking the enclosure into account. This video is dragging on a bit, so I'm going to try speed through this part. Domesticability. So, as usual, crocodile comparison. This confused me, because when I looked at the definition of domesticated, quote the Oxford Dictionary, tame and kept as pet or on a farm. Half of this statement is true to crocodilians. Like I said before, they are not pets. However, surprising to some, there are crocodile/alligator farms, where the animals are bred, raised, then processed for meat and leather, for example. So technically, we do have domesticated crocodilians. As for the pet side of things, there are exceptions. Rare exceptions. To name one lucky Florida lady, Mary Thorne, who owns a 15-year-old alligator named Rambo. Not only that, but a very, very lovable alligator, in fact almost dog-like. The reason I tell you this is because while Postosuchus may be a crocodile on steroids, there will be exceptions to their behaviour. Remember, they're individuals, not a species. Long story short, no. In conclusion, Postosuchus would and could be kept if brought back from the dead. It could be kept much like crocodiles. But I'm going to say it one last time. Remember, this is a crocodile on steroids. So, good luck. And don't try and cuddle it like Mary Thorne did. You'll probably, well, die. So just admire it from a distance, like I do with her. Because if I try and touch her, I might die. Look at this, look at this. She will attack anything. Here's my phone, for example. No. Okay, I'm ending the video. So, giving Postosuchus modern system is 221. Giving Postosuchus is giving, however, if the animal and the legs can rotate more freely. Kobe, using this rule for a full-grown Postosuchus, 9 by twice the length of the animal. Kobe, I was on a roll. I couldn't find a US price license to keep it right at the end of a sentence. If you choose to feed your you're gonna need to know how often to... I was so close to finishing. Thus enabling Postosuchus to breathe as it walked. Kobe! Shush. Personally, whoa! Help me, Kobe. How do you say herbivorous? You can talk. Help me. Whereas, nailed it.